Me, you, and the rest of us are getting older, and aging is going to collide with your calendar whether you plan for it or not. In this episode, we're sharing what's happening inside Tender Care right now, what our board pushed us on, what we learned when we launched our newest tool called Find Help, and how we're building toward proactive aging at scale. Watch to the end and you'll see why caregiving isn't just a personal issue, it's a systems problem that none of us can afford to ignore. We hope you enjoy this episode. We are back with another week. I feel like a lot has happened since the last time we spoke. This was a huge week, especially with you meeting with the board. Can you just first talk about why we have a board? What is a board and what do they assist with and how the meeting went?
Yeah, we have some incredible people who are on our board. Many of them have been longtime investors in longevity, in age tech. The whole purpose of a board is to give any founding team the opportunity to just take a pause, go up to the 30,000 foot bird's eye view and say, all right, are we going in the direction that we set out in? Does this still make sense? Are we focusing on the right things right now? How do we really think about what we've learned? What does that mean for how it informs our journey forward? So I actually love board meetings. A lot of founders don't like them. You'll hear about it. But I think for me, in terms of our own confidence in our plans, our leadership, our momentum, it's helping us to take the beat to tell our own story. It goes across the whole team. There's a ton of prep that goes into this, making sure we have really taken that beat, not just for me, but for how we're thinking about our product. What are we building? How is our database schema shaping up? Are we growing as fast as we should be? Are we paying enough attention to both sides of our professional marketplace and our families? What have they been writing and asking us for? That's all of the reason for having a board. And then what you really want on a great board like ours, you want a diversity of perspectives, opinions. So when you have key areas that you're focused on, for instance, like how do we get even closer to helping families out of a crisis, right? Emergency rooms, after diagnosis. Who is the right person on the board that's going to actually be the problem solver, open up doors to go out and have those conversations? That's what you're really looking for. You do not want too much overlap in terms of talent and expertise on any given board. And, it was a great conversation this week. I feel really good coming out of it, very focused.
What was your confidence like coming into the board meeting?
I think there's always this piece of, well, how is this body of work going to get received? We've been working so hard. We've had so many big moments over the last 3 months. We've formed major partnerships with Alka. We went out and we provided 50 state coverage, with CMS. And it's always like, well, we know this matters. Our families know this matters. Like, what's the board going to think about that? So I think there's always that piece of it, but I felt really good going into this one. Probably just personally, I felt really good about this because of the features that we've launched. Find Help. I continue to put every part of conviction against this out there. Like I dare someone to go out and show me a better way to help a family stabilize on the other side of really bad news, usually. I am so proud of this. I used it with my own family. So I went into that board meeting pretty confident, what we are putting out there into the world is worthy of being in people's lives. So that was the attitude going in. I'm not sure what you're going to say about different parts, but like in terms of what we're delivering, this stuff is about as good as it gets.
And what was the vibe like during the board meeting? Did you get any unlocks from them? Did you get some responses that you weren't expecting? What was it like?
When we really start to paint this big picture, what we're really after at Tender Care, helping families to age well. What does it really mean to age well? Well, it means doing this a hell of a lot more proactively than we currently do it. We wait till the bad thing happens today. And then you usually already have two choices off the table that you might have had if you hadn't waited, right? Too late for long-term care insurance. Like we are already past that point. Mom or dad's already got the diagnosis. When you look at the long-term vision for what we're building, we are building the muscle of every family to start to understand what their options are before the bad thing happens. How can you as a family move as a unit, think through these options, take real action that then will end up being such a cost saver for you longer term, or, have hard conversations. Where is mom going to move? If something happens to dad, these are things we wait and we hold off on. And we also go into kind of flying blind. Turns out your brother might live in a state that has so many resources for seniors that are covered, right? Through Medicare, through Medicaid. Turns out maybe where you live, you don't have as many. That should be a part of the conversation if you're going to have one parent move in with someone. Families just don't have easy access to this information today. So to be able to bring this data together in ways that immediately starts serving up these suggestions to a family, helps them think proactively, think better as a team. That's where the board got really excited. So I think where we dug in hardest was, well, what is this contextual data? What do we need to start pulling together from, all of these public data sets of what's available in every state? What is the walkability score of a certain town? So once, your mom gets a little older, how well is she going to be able to get around? What does this mean in terms of your family? What resources, assets do you have to think through? What care options? This is so far outside of the zone of what most families are thinking through as they're making their plans. So I think where we collectively get most excited is, well, what does this really look like to start to build out our data, both macro and also individual, to support and bring more value to each one of our families, our family members? How do we start to completely change the experience of how we approach aging from a financial and a real estate and a health perspective? And so where they pushed was, well, are we hiring fast enough? Are we really thinking through what are the skill sets we need to build a world-class data company that helps us age differently? That's pretty cool stuff to be really digging into. That's where a lot of the attention and the energy went to this board meeting.
Sounds like some intense stuff, but I feel like if you're coming into it with a ton of confidence, it sounds like this is probably one of the better board meetings that you've had since having them. It makes it a little bit easier because you stand behind the product, especially Find Help. Just seeing how excited you get about Find Help, and rightfully so. I mean, it's an amazing tool for people to use.
I had someone today.
Board meeting. Oh, really?
Yeah. I had someone today come to me like, now it's, in my own circles, everybody knows this is what I'm obsessed about and what I'm working on. So the minute I had one of my really well-respected founders that I know, just like a very well-known founder, his co-founder, his parents just found out they had a diagnosis. So we were the first place they turned. And he was like, please, is there anything that you can do for this co-founder? I was like, well, let me point you in the right direction. Of course, we've got you. And I do. I mean, Chris, I think our whole team, we stand behind the features, the capabilities that we have built. This isn't vaporware. We're legitimately helping people. So that's enough to give anybody confidence. That feels so good to be putting out in the world. I'll sign my name against this all day long. This is what the world needed. It's what I wish my dad and I had. So yeah, the confidence doesn't come, I think, from some external source. It comes from seeing is believing and watching the impact of these features now when you put them into the hands of a family that needs it. It's cool stuff.
It's very cool stuff. And we officially went live over the weekend. Although Find Help has been available for a little bit now, we just haven't really talked about it publicly. What are some things that you learned in the first few days that it's been out? People
do not have time. I think the race here is how much time can you possibly give someone back? Right now, we set ourselves at 24 hours. We're like, okay, that feels great. People are waiting 6 months. We're going to get it down to 24 hours. That's still not fast enough. We are racing through our lives. We are multitasking. We are picking up our kids at daycare. We are dropping somebody off. We are putting something in the mail. We've got like a coworker that's pinging us because they need something by like yesterday. And so I think the very earliest learning from, having real families give us feedback is like, we need to get this down. 24 hours is unacceptable. Like, we're going to need to go instant. So that's what we're working on. If we can give you back that amount of time waiting between your questions and your answers from a real care expert who's looked over all of your very specific family needs, your biggest questions, that's pretty cool. And I think that's something that we can bank on. The faster we can get people to a place in which they have their answers, that means that's like real life. That's real minutes of their day back that they can then spend on something else other than this.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how much data we have on the back end to see how much quicker we can, not even just in the return after they input all the information, but just on the initial, the user coming into the experience. Like, how can we quicken them interacting with the platform early? Like we're trying to shave like seconds here, which is so fascinating to see, like how we use all the data to try and like save seconds for people to.
I don't care how rich you are. The amount of time you get on this earth is the amount of time you get on this earth. So the more of those seconds we give back, what a gift, right? And so, yeah, we got that stopwatch out. We got our engineering team working so hard to get this thing down to seconds, right? Get to answers, which I think is such a worthy endeavor. But I do think also, you know, when you think about the doctors or the people in your life that have had the biggest impact on you, maybe it's a teacher, it's someone who really knows you, right? They're not just giving you advice off the cuff, like as if you're some stranger coming in off the street. They know your name. They know your family history. If it's a doctor, right? Even sometimes, like, I don't know if you've ever gone to a fancy hotel and they're like, hey, and they know your name when you walk up, right? I'm like, anytime that I'm lucky enough to go there, I'm like, oh, how cool is this, right? Like they've been considered, they're thoughtful. They've been thinking about me. We want to do that in everything that we're building here. I don't want anyone to be wasting their breath re-explaining something or getting some like one size fits all guidance or answers back. Like there's nothing more important than your family and what's best for them. So, you know, it is our responsibility to understand and stick with a family through what has happened, what's coming up. We need to be so personalized. This should feel like tender care is built only for one family at a time. It should never be the same for any family because no family is the same. So that's the ambition. That's what we're building towards. And every day we're getting sharper, we're getting smarter. And even now, go to find help. It feels like it's built just for you.
How do you feel about I know feedback is super important and iterating is super important, but when you see real users giving feedback that's a little bit harder to take, like how do you reconcile that in your brain? Like how do you, like, I know it's important for us to get real feedback of things maybe not working or things breaking, but like how does that work for you?
What a gift, right? This is a real person on our side trying to help us accomplish our goal, which is build something that works. That is the best possible gift. Like, if something is broken, if something's not working, how amazing to take and how generous to take that moment to let us know. We had this come up, right, with one of our emails. It was you respond to the email and then there was crickets. You weren't hearing from anyone. Well, it turns out it was in an inbox that we were not getting pinged on when someone was writing back on this. We wouldn't have known that unless this one particular, like one wonderful woman had said, where are you guys? Like, what are you doing? So we need that back and forth. I think building great things, like it's always an active live conversation. And what that signals to me when someone's disappointed is like, thank you for being disappointed. Thank you for expecting us to be excellent. Because that's what we want to be for them. And so if we've fallen down or missed the mark on that, that gets shot to the top of the list for something we need to fix. Like, perfect example. Hey, this inbox, this was going unmanaged. Now we have like an immediate ping to the entire team. The minute any single message hits that inbox, that infrastructure would not have been built without that wonderful user writing into us and letting us know something wasn't working.
And how do you think about prioritizing what to fix? Because I feel like if you sat and thought about everything you needed to fix, you know, that you'd come up with 20 different things. How do you think about prioritization?
I don't know if I'm just a total freak, but I think of things to fix like a kid in a candy store. Like, these are new things to build, new things to make better. Like, I love them. The hardest part is being able to say, like, I can't fix them all at one time. Like, I just want to fix everything, you know? And so usually it's like, well, you know, principles first. How many people will this help if we fix this one thing? How essential is it that we fix this now versus like, hey, we have something else that needs to take higher priority or precedent, you know, because it's going to affect a huge group of people if we don't make sure this one protection is in place. Or, one of our vendor partners is switching over from software or platform and the whole thing's going to go dark if we don't migrate, I don't know. But I think that's always the trade-off. So it's, what is the thing that is going to get you there that just practically makes the most sense for you to do at that time? And then I think there has to be a little magic in it too, right? Like so many of us, Chris, have lived this problem, have lived this experience. What's the thing that just like is the delight of going out and fixing, making better? It's just like, maybe there is no real justification for it other than the fact that like this deserves to be out and in the world and working. And there's always like maybe 20% that we want to do of that, which is just trust your gut and go with it and find a way to lobby the team to convince everyone to squeak it in to product roadmap.
I hear a lot of founders and CEOs talk about one of the most important roles as a CEO or as a leader is finding the right people to help. How do you think about that when it comes to like building a team?
Oh, you mean our founding team?
Yeah.
0 to 1 team? You need to find people with the kind of brilliance, equal part brilliance and stomach for the incredibly uncertain chapter that is required for any major innovation to pass through, where it goes from being completely unknown and a model the world does not yet recognize or is not familiar with, and into being taken for granted. Like that's the life stages of this. And you need to find people who have so much, whether it's like, because they've just been given enough validation early or they're just crazy, confidence in their own ability to actually shift the world and their ability to take their craft and contribute in a way that's so far outside of the limits of like what any normal, sane person would hope to have as impact in their professional life. Like you are looking for that. So it's half brilliance and half nerves. Because I've seen so many brilliant people, like they just don't have the stomach for it. Being able to move through these moments of extreme uncertainty. Is this new technology going to work? Is it going to like bottom out? With this in theory is supposed to make sense. Hey, there's this new complete paradigm shift of like everybody around us starting to use AI, but this hasn't been worked out yet. Do we feel confident enough in the way that we're thinking about this, in like sort of this like more retail healthcare? These are huge questions. They're like the world's foremost experts are actively in the middle of figuring this out. And so you need to find team members like you who understand at an internal level that like they have just as much a right to be one of those foremost experts as anybody else. Right? Like, why not you? So it's getting enough of a concentration of this type of a team member profile in different, as much as you possibly can, non-overlapping skill sets, and then just jamming together and going and getting into a mind meld and this sort of flow state where everybody trusts each other. Everyone trusts that the other person is going to take care of business on their side. We like come together, high five, figure it out, and then we're back out again. That's where it really starts to sing. That's where the magic happens. And because of, I think, what we work on and this mission, we have been so lucky, and please, like you speak to, our team. This team could be working on anything, truly. Like they've taken pay cuts, like they believe so much in this mission, and they are being hunted by every other company that knows what outsized impact they have. I can't tell you how many competing job offers everyone has all the time, right? And still choose this work and choose to solve this problem. What a cool thing. Like we're all here by choice. Every day we make that choice. It's the best part. Like once you've had a taste of it in work life, you can never go back. Like you can never go back where you're working on a team where it's so clear that like Ida and James are only there for the paycheck, right? Like they're like, I got to get out of here as soon as possible. I don't know what all the rest of you are doing. I'm out. There's like nothing less energizing, right? But when you are in a zone where you've got a team where everybody is like, capital letters, yes, I am here. I am going to bring everything. I'm going to keep pushing myself to be better. It's just the coolest. And I got to give a major shout out to our tender care team. This is just like the baddest group of humans, like the sweetest, but baddest group of humans who, in a world which makes us go faster, think so transactionally, like barely get to know one another, how often do you find people who are like, no, I believe in trying to invent a new way for us as a total species to take care of our weak and our sick and our frail, because this is the world that I want to live in. Like this, we can do better as a species in the way that we think about this. Just imagine the type of people that are sitting on the inside of Tender Care who have made that choice. It's pretty cool.
I mean, for me, because this is the first team I've ever really stepped into, I don't fully understand the kind of privilege it is to be able to step into a team like this. So I don't know what I have right now, really. Like I haven't really
don't know.
I'd rather be on this side than, I guess, facing something else. So it is truly a privilege. I just don't know what it's like to have anything else. So,
well, but also that was a leap, right? Because I'm sure, I mean, like you're a free one. You're in terms of like, you are a free spirit. You are out there, riding so fast and solo for so long. And so to decide and choose to be part of a team, I think that just speaks to your willingness to be open to new ways of having impact. Like really explore the outer limits of like what you are capable of and what are you capable of when paired with others who are working on other parts, right, of the same mission. That speaks to your own bravery. And again, when I talk about conviction in oneself, like to me, that's like a green light indicator.
There was no doubt in my mind. I think that the moment that we met and had that first project, it was just, there was no way that I could do anything else outside of this.
Let's go.
So yeah,
like the world needs us.
So we launched Find Help. Obviously there's going to be many iterations of Find Help when we're trying to get faster. We have the stopwatch out. What's coming up that you're excited about? Besides everything.
I know all the things. There's a couple things we're working on. I can't announce some of them because some of them are still in the works and I'd get in trouble. But there's some big stuff coming through, right? I'll start with the small stuff. How about that? We're starting to just organically see so many parts of what it means to age well. Those businesses coming to us and saying, hey, Tender Care, include us. Like, why are you not including health and wellness? I'm like, you are right. This is a huge piece. There's absolutely a place and a home for you here. And we should be actively providing meaningful ways for families to think about what their wellness looks like. And what does it mean to be adopting a healthy lifestyle? Not just finding the best home care, but also like, how do you stay strong? How do you build your muscle? How do you make sure you're eating the right things? So that's been really cool because the market itself has been pushing us to expand our definition of what aging well looks like. So you're going to see health and wellness come in. You're going to see home safety start to take shape inside of our trusted network. And these are important parts of aging, right? So I think it's been cool to watch as our own very early definitions of what we think families need has really taken on a life of its own, right? We're really starting to reflect, I think, accurately, both what a family needs and also what the marketplace is actually offering to families. They need to we need to make sure that those things are connecting. So that's the first thing, smaller. Second thing that I'm really excited about, there's a lot of resources and free dollars out there for families that if you don't hear about it, you might be eligible, but you're never going to see it. Like there's so much that's out there through Medicare and others. And I think what is now giving me so much energy is connecting those dots for families. Like it's not enough for us to just give free tools to you. I want to give you money. Like I want to give you your life back, right? That's cool. That is cool, right? And so, we're now about to announce this 50-state CMS approved program. It's called Guide. It entitles anyone who has dementia or Alzheimer's or a family member who has dementia or Alzheimer's and has, Medicare coverage to $2,500 of free professional respite care. I think that's like 72 hours a year, every year. That's just paid for you. Nobody's asking you for any money. No one's asking. It's literally just like, here, take 72 hours of your life back to go have that new job interview, to go take that weekend getaway, to go spend more time with your kids, to go spend like time on yourself. Like, we don't talk about that enough. How cool is it to now be starting to connect these programs and making them much more visible to families? Otherwise this becomes like lost in some little website, that nobody goes to on some government page that in like crazy English that you don't understand. This now is something that it's our job to like surface and make real for you and also make super easy for you to take advantage of. So I'm so excited about this because, we talk a lot about helping families. I think one of the biggest ways you can help them is like actually just straight up give resources and financial support back to them. This is an incredibly expensive body of work we are all taking on by taking care of someone with a health condition or just getting older, or even just for ourselves, So that's pretty big to be able to go out there and make available. And also to make this super easy for you to check your eligibility. Like 2 minutes, check, and it can be 72 hours of your life back every year. That's really cool.
It's really incredible. And the way you talk about it, it seems like there was little to no behind the scenes work, but I know that this has been a long time coming. So I guess, could you talk a little bit about how this all came to be? Like, how did this partnership even come about? Or how does an opportunity like this even show up?
I know it's funny. All of our amazing product leaders and engineers are like, God, Shauna, you make it seem so easy, right? Meanwhile, everyone's like slaving away, trying to make this perfect for every family, So fair point. Sometimes these things happen because you are there at the right time and you walk through the door when it opens. And when I say that, it's actually a pretty small community of people who build in this space. There's not a lot of us, right? Who are like, I'm going to devote every waking minute, right, to like thinking about this chapter of life and building tech, and then even building technology in it. We're even smaller, right? Because most everyone is like services oriented. So it's like a very small crew. So for those of us who build in this space, we know each other. And so when a big CMS program like this, and it is big, it's an 8-year program, comes up, and, providers are thinking through who are the right vendors to bring this to life. I feel really grateful that we were on the short list, right, for our partner, Eli Health. And the reason we were on the short list is because we're very known in this space as being the ones who build the most incredible products. And so if there was going to be a product or a platform offering, we're lucky they came to us and they said, can we work together to co-create this and build this and bring this out, to every American in every state. And it was like, there's no downside. I was like, absolutely. The more people that we can get the word out to and get enrolled in something like this, that just gets us closer to our mission. So we got approached for that. I think because we're in small circles, we spent a lot of time. I was in Boston. I was with, we do a lot of work with the MIT Age Lab. And I was down there with Joe Coughlin, who runs that lab. I happened to run into the CEO for Eli Health. I think it was at the same conference. And that was when I think the seed was first planted that we should do this together, go out and make sure that guide isn't a secret.
Something that's very underrated about you is your ability to plant seeds and also just get people excited about an idea that you might have or a partnership that you have in mind. So it's a very underrated skill of yours that I don't think a lot of people know about, but if they were to see you operate in a room, they could see people's light bulbs going off when you have a conversation with them. So it's amazing to witness.
Well, you're very kind. And I could go on and on about your superpowers, Chris. But I will say, because this is a funny little fast fact about seeds, since we're talking about it. Every year, I actually lay down around 14 pounds of wildflower seeds in my lawn. And I do this outside, actually, my own lawn. I do this for the street, for all of my neighbors who are walking back and forth. So I really do go hard on seeds. And it's so much fun too, because every summer it's just this like profusion of crazy wildflowers. So I'm that crazy lady. If you see on Instagram, you see those like gardening videos, that's 100% me. I'm just like, I'm sitting there just like fistfuls of seeds everywhere.
Well, it makes sense. If that's you in your professional life and you in your regular outside of work life, it's all on brand.
There you go.
One more thing I wanted to talk about, something that I think is exciting, is you speaking at the New York Stock Exchange. Can you talk about how this came about and what it's going to be like?
Oh, this is so wild, and it happened so organically and from a moment of bravery that Chris, you pushed me to do, which was do the thing that I have been avoiding doing for years because it felt so hard, which was actually sit down with my dad and explain to him what we have built at Tender Care and his role in that. And the reason I have avoided doing this is because I didn't want to feel the heartbreak of explaining it and seeing in his eyes that he didn't understand. It's really hard for me, This whole effort comes from such a place of initial loss of this original relationship that I had with my dad. And so, you really pushed me. You're like, I want you to have this moment. And I had to work my way into it and think about it. And I eventually did. Well, it was actually not scary. Funny how these things that you think are going to be so scary end up being like, hey, that wasn't so bad. And in fact, if anything, I was like, I think there's parts of this he actually understands. Like, I saw it in his face while I'm talking, and he's smiling, and it goes deeper than just sort of smiling. Like, I was like, I really think there are parts of this that I'm connecting with him on. Maybe not the details, not anything, but just sort of this idea of me really taking him seriously and taking what journey we've been on together into this thing that can help other people. And so it was a really positive experience. We've never talked about that, by the way, of just what that was like to sit down with him. But so much of how we all operate today is by learning about each other through these different platforms and services. And we put this video out of me explaining this to my dad, which is also kind of hard. I was like, oh man, this is so real. I feel so exposed. I'm like, there's no way to kind of like polish my way out of this. This is just what it is. This is me and my dad in my home. It's not fancy. It's not any, it's just like, this is our story. And, anyways, a producer from New York Stock Exchange reached out, who had seen that video. It was like, we need to talk about this business on our programming. Can you come to New York Stock Exchange and explain what your team is doing for aging in place? Like, what are you doing? This feels so compelling. We need to know more. And so I'm going to be there in the middle of, New York Stock Exchange tomorrow, reminding everybody I think they reach millions, but also every single trader on the floor, they all have moms and dads. They all have grandparents. They're all going to need help. And what does it mean? We go out and we assume our professional lives. We've got these titles on LinkedIn, but we're all sons and we're daughters and we're grandchildren, and we care meaningfully and deeply about our family. And so don't we want to do this a better way for the people that deserve it in our lives? So I'm really, really looking forward to landing this message of like why we have built Tender Care, why we must exist, why this will help every single person who hears about us. And
yes, I'm so excited for you to be able to do that. There's so many things that I agree with you on. One, I think everybody is going to experience aging. There's no way out of it, right? Like we're all getting older.
I know. Is that crazy? I know.
It's crazy, right? You can't opt out. And to be able to talk to people who might not have even thought about their aging parents or themselves aging, because most of us don't think about us getting older. We hate to think about it, so we just push it away. So I think the talk is going to be super important, and kudos to you for being so open to sharing that story with your dad. I know I didn't even realize, like, when I gave the direction of like, hey, can we film this? I didn't realize like how heavy that was, and how even harder it is to share that online with many people who could have many different opinions about whatever. But I think I don't know. I think it's important for people to see what it's like behind closed doors for somebody, especially like you, who is leading this team and who's building from such a real place. Like, this is like a real lived experience that you are going through. This is not just some like fairy tale that you thought would be a great idea. Like, this is your real life. So any chance we can get anytime we can get a chance to tell that, I'm always game. So I'm glad that it landed.
So brave, and you helped me be brave, because that's way scarier to me than standing up in the New York Stock Exchange. Like, putting me and my dad in our living room out there for the world to judge and see and just know. Like, I could do the New York Stock Exchange all day. That piece to me is the real part, to your point. And so you helped me face and slay those dragons. And so I'm so enormously grateful to you for helping me just live truthfully in front of everyone, and really show the humanity that is being infused into this company from not just me, our whole team. This is coming from such a deeply human, caring place for my dad, but also for anyone else who's going through this. And so if it's helpful for people to see that and understand the intentions behind this, not just the features or the tech, but like what this is being delivered in the spirit of, which is ultimately to care for those that I know, but also those that we'll never meet, you know? I will continue to try and be brave for you.
Thanks, Shauna. I appreciate it. I'm so excited to see what happens tomorrow, and how we continue to iterate and make tools and create a system for people that they could, live an easier and better life with caregiving.
These tools our kids are going to be using on us, so we better make them good, man. They better not break. Right? We don't want to mess this up. Otherwise, we're going to end up on the other side with like some crazy person showing up at our house and being like, "Oh man, they really needed to fix that vetting tool."
Cool. Thanks,
You're
Shauna.
All right. Thanks, Chris. See ya.